Hey, how are you? It's Atomic Radio Overtime, episode 120.
That's so many.
I'm your host, Vince.
And I am your back-at-home host, Olive.
And we're also here with a friend of ours. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
What up? It's your Boyd. Red Tooth or whatever, but, I'm also go by a name Chris. That's what was given me when I was born.
How did that go for you?
Yeah,
I don't really remember much of it, but I'm assuming it was an okay experience. I mean, I'm here, so couldn't have been that bad.
How would you rate it? On a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best.
10, because,
okay, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's new, everybody? How's everybody's weeks been?
I've had a crazy week, yo.
Yo, you want to tell us about it?
I'll tell you guys a little bit. I'll give you the cliff notes.
Yeah, do tell me a little bit about it.
My roommate that me and my close friend that I live with didn't know all too well. Her boyfriend broke into our house and concaved our steel door and broke our window and air conditioner. So I've been all week working with the cops and the landlord, and it's been exhausting. This is my first day home in like 5 days. I've been staying at a friend's house until the door got fixed.
Wow.
Crazy. Oh, and another interesting thing happened. While I was on my way to stay at my friend's house, I don't know if I told you this, Vince, but while we were on our way, we were just like driving down the road, and then a pregnant lady jumps out in front of us.
No!
Yeah, she was trying to kill herself.
No!
She was
No fucking way!
She was trying to commit suicide, and we could tell because she jumped out in front of us and just stared at us and like looked like she was scared and like wouldn't move, and then she just slowly backed away and then tried to do it again to the car behind us.
No fucking way!
So we called the cops on her and said, "Hey, there's this pregnant lady trying to off herself on X street."
No fucking way!
And that was like the last straw. At that point, I went home and I went to my friend's apartment. I opened a bottle of wine and watched anime until the sun came up.
That's so fun. How do you not tell me that?
Because I wanted to tell you on the show.
Holy fuck, that's fucking... How far along was she? Like, she was visible, so like...
Like 7 or 8 months. Easily. So how was your week?
Did your friend hit her at all? Like, did she nick her with the car?
No, her brakes were just replaced, so we didn't even touch her. But we were going fast enough that if she hadn't had her brakes just replaced, it would have been bad.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh.
I can't make this shit up. I
can
swear
only
to God.
imagine what was going through that woman's head.
I'm not gonna lie, at first this sounded like it was a joke. And then, but like, I can tell now that you're serious right now. Like, this really happened.
This is not a joke. This really happened.
And this wasn't in Florida.
No, this was in the state of New York.
Gee willikers, Batman.
What do you think was going through that woman's head?
Probably that life was too overwhelming and that it was her time and she was going to release herself on her own recognizances and take her baby with her.
Did the other car hit her?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I know what went through her head when she went home. Hi, everybody. I'm Vince.
Hi, I think I said this. I'm Olive.
That's fucking nuts. That's nuts.
Wow.
Like, I can only imagine she's just like, wow, I can't even do that right. Like, it's fucking crazy. Jesus fucking Christ.
She looked like she was having a nervous breakdown.
Holy shit. Welcome to America. We don't take care of the mentally unwell. Let's see. Chris, you do anything fun?
Yeah, I play a lot of Fallout and other video games and such.
Yeah.
I'm playing right now. I'm actually doing like GameCube throwbacks. So I'm trying to like 100% NBA Street Volume 2 right now. Having a blast doing that. But yeah, another thing I really, really love doing is I love playing. I play this game. It's like Fallout D&D. With my friends. Dude, it's... Oh my gosh.
Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Dude, we've been doing it for years. And my friend Olive, like created the system. And like, it's like a comfy like D&D, like the whole like experience of it, but in the Fallout world. Would
you say it's based on 5e?
Yeah, I would actually. Like that's because that's what I've mostly played, and yeah, it's basically it translates pretty well for me, and yeah, I'm a pretty simple guy.
Would you also say that you can listen to it on the Atomic Radio Hour YouTube channel?
You know, I would say that, and I would say that, yeah, one should definitely, if they have not heard the episodes, they should definitely give them a listen, because there's a story going on too, and there's some intense shit going on, and, you know, I don't know what's going to happen next, but, you know, I want to know, so I'd stay tuned.
The next one is, before Vince does this, the next one is still in shut the fuck up. The next one is still in progress. I've been having a very stressful. My semester is kind of coming to a close. I'm in the final month, so the October episode is going to be late. It'll probably be an early November episode.
It has to go out before my birthday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You said absolutely about this one being out by the 30th.
Well, I didn't expect my house to get broken into and me to lose access to my editing machine for a week. So,
well, you know what? Maybe you should have hit the pregnant woman.
Maybe I should have.
Well,
I wasn't the one driving, so obviously
should have got out and beat her. No, that's fucking crazy, Chris.
Oh my god!
What did you?
Chris, could you tell us a little bit? Can you tell us a little more about this? What's the name of this program?
This what? I'm sorry.
This program, this show that you're a part of, that you play. What was it? Dungeons and Dragons, but with a Fallout spin.
Oh yes, and we came up with this name. It's called Atomic Tabletop.
Okay.
Atomic Radio Hour is the name of the show, and you can give that a ring a ding, and you know, listen to that and watch that, and you know, be pretty well amazed. So.
My editing is exquisite.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
it
would be more exquisite if it didn't take you 3 months to edit an episode.
It doesn't ever take 3 months. It takes like
2.5.
It takes 45 days.
Okay, go fuck yourself.
Listen. Gold takes a little while to cook. All right? To produce gold, it takes a little while. You can't rush amazing things. You either we're
turning coal into diamonds here.
Right, exactly. It either takes time to get something good, or, you know, rather than wait for it to grow on its own, you jump into traffic and try to let traffic deal with your problem for you. And we've all seen how that goes, so.
So this is episode 120.
That's so many.
That's a lot. The past few weeks, we've been trying to do, except for last week, and the week before that, because things got a little fucky-wucky. We've been trying to do the protagonists, all the protagonists from the mainline Fallout games, and we've kind of come to the last one with a real protagonist, because 76 is so open-ended that it's supposed to be you, and I don't know you. I don't know your story. I bet it's great. Yeah. I bet there's highlights. I bet there's lowlights. I bet there's a lot of just kind of sitting around waiting for a lot of things. I feel like that's a lot of life for a lot of people. But I don't know you. So I can't tell your story. If you would like to hear a story that's being told, if you really wish that 76 had story, our friend Ken, who does Chad, is the closest thing you're really going to get to that.
Oh, that's an excellent program.
Absolutely. The sound design is phenomenal. If you take nothing else away from that show, great characters, great writing, the sound design is where it's at. we have to talk about the Soul Survivor, and it's no surprise here if you've listened to more than one episode. We have our bingo, our theoretical bingo sheet, and on there somewhere is Vince complains about Fallout 4, and we bring up Kyle, and I'm honestly surprised.
That's a staple of every episode.
Yeah, I'm surprised we made it this far without talking about Kyle.
I love that man.
I fucking love Kyle. I want to hold Kyle. I just want to tell him how special he is to me.
I want to be like him when I grow up.
But we have
Aren't
to
you older
talk.
than Kyle?
What's up?
Aren't you older than Kyle, Chris?
Yeah, but I still want to be like him when I grow up.
I understand.
We have to talk about the Soul Survivor. We have to talk about Mr. Voice McGee. And I'm going to bitch and moan, piss, whine, and complain a little bit, because that's just who I am. But then we're going to talk to Chris about some stuff. So I'm just going to go. I'm just going to read it. You guys ready?
Wait, before you get into it, the reason that we have our very good friend Chris here is because he's our resident Fallout 4 expert.
Well, and let me clarify, actually, because I would not consider myself an expert, actually, by any means. I'm really just, like, a big fan who just is such a big fan that I happen to know a lot about the game only because I played it through Fallout 4, like, 15 times. So if that makes me an expert...
That's more than Vince and I combined.
I don't think that makes me an expert, but if it makes me close enough to an expert for this evening, for this show, then like I'm all for it. So
you've played this game more than anybody I know.
I mean, I've played it more than anybody I know too.
So I'm just gonna jump right into it, like I do with the protagonist. I'm reading straight from Fallout.fandom.com, where I get all of my lore. The Soul Survivor is either a male retired from the U.S. Army, or named Nate, or a female law school graduate. According to the pre-war records of the Lookout at the USS Constitution, Nate served in the 2nd Battalion, 108th Infantry Regiment, while his wife Nora was a lawyer. At some point,
that's most likely infantry.
What's up?
You said infamy. That was probably infantry.
Oh, it was infantry. Sorry. That's a slip in the key of Freudian right there. At some point during the Sino-American War, the Soul Survivor married, had a son named Sean, and bought a robotic butler named Cogsworth. On October 23rd, this is our Great War episode.
Oh, shit. It is.
Yeah. Happy Great War, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to release, 2 days after the Great War, I think?
I think it's Friday. So it's going to, the 24th.
So it'll be a day after.
So,
yeah.
Hey, everybody, Mazel, only another fucking, 60, 70 years? No, I'm stupid. Fucking 50 years, 57 years until we all get to perish.
Thank God, honestly.
I know, right? I'm fucking tired of this place. On October 23rd, 2077, the Soul Survivor was preparing for an event at the Veterans Hall in Concord, while a Vault-Tec representative approached the family with pre-approved papers, a lot of alliteration there, for access into Vault 111. Moments later, a newsreader announced that nuclear detonations were being reported, forcing the Soul Survivor and their family to rush into Vault 111. They were sealed in cryogenic stasis under the pretense of being decontaminated by Vault-Tec scientists. The Soul Survivors kept almost undisturbed in this state from 2277 to 2287. In 2227, the Soul Survivor and their spouse are awakened by 2 seen unknown individuals and 1 off-screen, who opened the spouse's cryogenic tube with the intent of kidnapping Sean. Though conscious, the Soul Survivor is trapped in their cryogenic pod and is powerless to do anything but watch their spouse be shot and their child abducted by 2 mysterious figures. The Soul Survivor is refrozen, awaking in 2287 and escaping the cryogenic tube. Learning that they are the Soul Survivor of Vault 111, the Soul Survivor emerges from the vault and vows to avenge their spouse's death and locate their son, Sean. The male voice actor is Brian T. Delaney, and the female voice actor is Courtney Taylor. Returning to their original home, the sole survivor arrives in Sanctuary Hills, which is now ruined from the bomb's blast. When they meet the distraught Cogsworth, revealing that the sole survivor is over 200 and reveals to the sole survivor that over 210 years have passed since they were frozen in the vault. Also telling the player character to go to Concord for help. The sole survivor then meets Preston Garvey, one of the last Minutemen in the Commonwealth, and assists him with protecting settlers from a group of raiders and a Deathclaw. Because at level 2, you should be given a minigun, power armor, and fight a Deathclaw.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Yeah. Just give me a minute.
Please love our game.
After helping Garvey,
our fancy new Deathclaw model. You can kill it.
Yeah. You know, it scales with you, so if you just leave and don't come back to your 40, you'll fight like a really strong Deathclaw.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I did know that actually, and I love that.
After helping Garvey and his group, the player character is instructed to go to Diamond City, a settlement based on Fenway Park, where they meet Piper Wright, the best companion in the game. The city's reporter who tells the player character to seek out the city's detective, Nick Valentine, who is revealed to have been missing 2 weeks prior to the sole survivor's arrival in Diamond City. After finding Valentine, they identify the location of their spouse's killer, a man named Connie Kellogg. Tracking him. Do we do an episode on Kellogg?
We've talked about Kellogg before. I don't think we've actually done one dedicated to him.
Kellogg's the man. He's from San Francisco.
It would be awfully helpful if I uploaded all the lore so I could just search it.
Wow, you said it before me. You're on top of it tonight. Yeah, he has ties to the She.
I think that's when we last talked about him, was the She.
Yeah.
Oh, we also talked about him when we talked about the DLC, the foggy one.
Far Harbor?
Yes, that one. I think we mentioned him in that episode.
I don't know why, but I wanted to say Far Harbor like JFK.
Can you please give me a sample of that?
Far Harbor. Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys. God damn it, dude. I've been... Somebody call Bobby. Dude, when I'm at work and no one's around, I'm like, I must complete a task and then call Marilyn.
Have you done that for my dad?
I haven't. I just started doing a JFK voice. Somebody call my secretary. Wait, who's somebody get Lyndon B. Johnson on the phone. We're going to do cocaine in the Oval Office. It's not good to make yourself laugh, but it makes me laugh.
If you can't make yourself laugh, then what's the point?
All right, so Connie Kellogg, tracking him down, Kellogg reveals that Sean is in the Institute, a secretive organization feared by the people of the Commonwealth that is based below the ruins of the Commonwealth Institute of Technology, or CIT. The player character then kills Kellogg and retrieves a cybernetic implant from his brain. You can't not kill Kellogg.
Yeah, I think that's the wackest shit. You can't play a pacifist in Fallout 4.
I don't think you can.
There's no way. The only way to not directly kill Kellogg is by literally cheesing the engine.
I could be wrong when I say this, but early on, I remember talking to Mama Murphy, and she's like, "Give me some of that good shit, honey, and I'll fucking tell you what you want." And I was like, "Here's some drugs, whore." She was like, "Thanks." And she tells you the code to turn off the Courser. When you have to go get the Courser chip?
Yeah.
She tells you the code to turn off the Courser's brain and shut him down.
That's really cool.
So because... You can do that through a lot of the game, if I understand correctly, but if you do it too much, you kill her.
Yeah, because she does OD at some point.
So Marcy Long is an essential NPC, but Mama Murphy isn't. Also, Mama Murphy's concept art is way cooler. She was sitting in an iBot.
I have the art book back home, but I don't have it with me. Damn it. But yeah, her concept art is so much cooler than what they ended up using.
It's either an old Mr. Handy or it's an iBot, and it's way fucking cooler because she would float around.
Yeah, I think it's an old Mr. Handy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised if you can like go to Kellogg and be like, execute order 1705.9 Grandma Edition, and he just goes and shuts off.
Wait, whoa. Kellogg?
Yeah, because he's like part synth. I'm not saying that you can do this. Yeah. I don't know if you can do this.
Wait.
I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised, but then again, this game was so far removed from an RPG, they gave you a fucking voiced protagonist.
All right. Get back to the lore.
After some consultation with Nick and Piper, they had to good neighbor where they first encountered John Hancock, the self-appointed cool mayor of the town, and get help from Dr. Amari, a scientist skilled in neuroscience. The doctor assists the sole survivor in viewing the dead mercenaries' memories and discovering that the Institute uses teleportation as the means of travel between their facilities and the surface. During their hunt for Kellogg, the survivor also witnesses the arrival of the Brotherhood of Steel in an airship called the Pridwin, which becomes their mobile airship headquarters. Imagine being a doctor who's skilled in neuroscience in the wasteland. No anesthetic.
I was just thinking about that. Where do you get that knowledge? How do you get that?
How do you practice?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, like, get a feral, tie him to a table, and, like, all right, let's see if it works.
Scoop some brains out, right?
Yeah.
Where do you get the qualifications?
Like,
you could read as many books as you want. It's more effective to learn.
You need workplace experience.
You need workplace experience. Where do you get that neuroscience experience? I mean, it's not like you're going to go to college in the wasteland.
Yeah. Probably, if they did go to a college, it's probably the same school that all the writers for Fallout 4 went to. Hi-oh! After viewing Kellogg's memories, which is the best fucking part of this game.
Oh, that part is so cool.
There's a part, and I've talked about this on here before, there's a part where it shows Kellogg and his mom, and I want to say outside of the window is the Golden Gate Bridge, and I'm probably wrong because I think that's
can I correct you, actually?
Yes, please.
So the scene where the Golden Gate Bridge is out the window is actually when Kellogg is in San Francisco or whatever with his wife and daughter, and they're talking about how they just moved there.
Okay, cool. But I remember, I'm not sure what part of the NCR he's originally from, Big Boy Connie here, Mr. Frosted Flakes, but when it shows him and his mom, he's in pajamas, like playing on a bed with something, and his mom's sitting next to him. You can hear the radio talking about the NCR. And there's a scene where you get to like walk around his memories where you can hear his dad like, "Where the fuck are my boots? I'm going out." And you go over to the door and it just says dad. It doesn't say door. Yeah. It doesn't say the event. It just says dad.
I remember that.
And I remember thinking that was so fucking powerful that he has so repressed his father that he has just reduced his father down to a speaking door. And I thought that was really intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best fucking part of the game. It really, really is. And to see him kind of relive his life and get a deeper appreciation. And then once you have the fucking piece of him inside of Nick talks through him and then just never does it again.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like that.
Like, were you foreshadowing something? I was like, oh shit, this is going to come back. Like, this is going to come back.
Where Nick gets like the red eyes for a sec.
Do his eyes change?
I thought they do.
His eyes don't change that I remember, but he just is like, hope he got you were looking for inside my head.
Dude, even if it was an optional thing where if you took him to the Institute, he would turn back into Kellogg and be like, oh shit, we're home. Or even this, you turn on the Institute and then he turns into Kellogg Nick, and if you don't have a high enough charisma, you have to talk. You can't talk Nick back out of Kellogg.
All right, wait. Let's headcanon things after we talk about the lore.
You're correct. I'm sorry.
Because we're almost done. There's only like, what, 3 more little sections?
Yeah. Sorry. After viewing Kellogg's memory, the player character is tasked to go to the glowing sea, the ground zero of the nuclear blast, during the intro sequence to find Brian Virgil, an ex-Institute scientist who specializes in researching the forced evolutionary virus who escaped and has gone into hiding to get help in infiltrate. Say it for me. Infiltrating, thank you. The shadowy organization Vigil. Shout out to Vigil.
Shout out to Vigil.
Virgil, now mutated into a super mutant by prolonged FEV exposure, mentions that the player must kill an Institute Courser, one of the most advanced creations in the Institute, designed to be stronger, faster, smarter, harder, better, faster, stronger than average human beings, to get a special chip from it in order to access the Institute. Once the chip is retrieved, the player character is directed to find the Railroad, a secret organization that works to free synths from the Institute and give them a normal life out there in the Commonwealth. Since only one of its members, Tinker Tom, can decode the chip and get the frequency code used by the Institute to teleport. The player character then heads back to Virgil, who gives them a blueprint of a device that hijacks the frequency of the Institute's molecular relay. After retrieving the blueprints, the survivor must seek assistance from one of three factions: the Minutemen, the Railroad, and the BOS. Once the device is built, the player character...
more like POS.
Once the device is built, the player character infiltrates the Institute, finds their son, and after finding a synth-based young man named Sean... to find their son, then finds a synth-based young man named Sean, it is revealed that the real Sean was kidnapped in 60 years prior to the sole survivor's release from cryogenic sleep, and is now an old man who goes by Father, as well as the current director of the Institute. From now on, the sole survivor faces a choice that will significantly affect the Commonwealth and its people. They can work against Sean by assisting one of the factions, the Railroad, in destroying the Institute and liberating the synths, the Brotherhood of Steel to exterminate all synths along with the Institute, the Minutemen in destroying the Institute, and the Brotherhood of Steel if made hostile to the player character, to protect the Commonwealth. Alternatively, they can side with Sean and help the Institute secure the Commonwealth by destroying the Railroad and the Brotherhood of Steel. The Minutemen can persuade to ally with the Institute after a few difficult speech checks. Any of the four choices result in Sean's death, this being due to either the cancer he had developed or killing your own child, which should have been more effective, should have been more salient. And at the end...
I never really, remembered that he had cancer.
Yeah, you sit down at a board meeting and he's like, I'm dying to death. And everyone's like,
you need to be the new Institute father.
Yeah, which I want to talk about that in a minute, because Chris and I we were talking about a theory we both had. At the very end, the synth child, Sean, will refer to the sole survivor as a parent and asks them if he can go live with them anywhere in the Commonwealth to be family. If the sole survivor agrees, the synth child then gives the player character a holotape from the real Sean with a message that differs depending on the player character sides with the Institute or not. In the holotape, the real Sean tells his parents that he wishes they would give the synth child a chance to live as a family, since Sean himself has never had a chance to live with the sole survivor. The sole survivor then contemplates the events that transpired and says that this isn't the world I wanted, but it's the one I found myself in, says a voiced protagonist, and that they are now ready for anything that comes my way because they know that war never changes. Look at that. Can you believe that Fallout 4 is happening over there? That's like the level of writing in this fucking... All right. So...
Come on, Fallout 4.
There's some notes here.
I wanted Fallout 4 to be better.
I can only imagine, the feelings I have for Fallout 4 is, what happens when your kid comes home and is like, I'm gonna go get a liberal arts degree.
Oh, come on, dude.
You know how I feel about Fallout 4?
How do you feel about Fallout 4?
It's not the game I wanted, but It was the one I found myself in.
Todd never changes.
God damn. Do you want to hear some notes, some little fun facts real quick?
You can give me some tidbits.
The Lone Wanderer from Fallout 3 and the Sole Survivor are seen being accompanied by a dog in the promotional material for the game, which I believe is the only time that they are seen accompanied by anything. Anyone, any person, any living being.
I think it would have been more appropriate for it to be Cogsworth.
Maybe.
Because, like, Fallout 3 had the dog.
Mm-hmm.
New Vegas was the NCR Ranger armor.
Mm-hmm.
And since, like, Fallout 4 kind of, like, focuses more on, like, tech and stuff, I feel like it would have been better to have it as being a robot.
You know, to be completely honest with you, you know that Chris, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. That really high res render of the synth that has like half the face blown off.
Yeah.
That should have been the cover of Fallout 4.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah, like the one in the art book.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been. Hold on, I have my copy right here. Here's my steelbook that I spent money on. It shouldn't have been a Brotherhood. It shouldn't have been a Brotherhood power armor. It shouldn't have been T60. It shouldn't have been. It should have been that high-res render of a synth. Because this implies you're going to go with the Brotherhood. This implies that the Brotherhood is the correct ending.
It'd be like, cooler. I mean, this is kind of cheesy, but like maybe literally like split the screen in half. So like half of it's a synth face, half of it's a power armor helmet.
Something like if I think that synth head, because I got why they did it with 3. 3 was more of a reference to the early games, especially Fallout 1, and Fallout 2 was a tribal version of power armor. So it almost kind of mirrored how it should have been with 3. If they were paying homage to that, the next one being the desert wasteland game that it was, you have the Mojave Ranger outfit, so it fit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is just... I mean, my copy... Let me see my copy of 76 while we're here. Fuck it. Here's my other steelbook. It's... Like, this is the Tricentenary edition, and it's just...
Or the Tricentennial, maybe?
Whatever. I don't fucking know words. 300 years. For 76. And I don't know what the... I think the other one just looks like the game itself. It just looks like a Vault 76 logo. Like, it doesn't have anything special. But, like, at least that tells you more about the game from the cover. Like, the themes of Americana are here. Where when you have, like, just the Vault logo, it shows you... it shows you, like, oh, okay, we're leaving this vault. And much like the game, the cover has nothing. So here's a thing. The Sole Survivor is, regardless of gender, a recipient of classical education that has no inconsistency with pre-war history, meaning they are the only protagonists in the series who would be fully aware of historical flaws in the knowledge of other characters. This can be displayed when meeting Mo Corin, and he corrects him on what his idea of baseball is. Did you ever do that part?
Yeah.
I have, yes.
Where he's like, yeah, swatters. You get inside of a ring, and then you beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is a note. Once the Sole Survivor's sex is chosen, the other will be the non-player character. Yeah.
No shit.
Dude. Cogsworth can refer to the player character by name, as Bethesda has recorded over 1,000 popular names in the game that include both real names and joke names. Vince is not one of those names. Neither is Vincent.
I wonder if Olive is.
It probably is.
Vincent and Vinny are.
Ugh, gross.
I know.
What the fuck? You couldn't drop the NT. Really? Come on, Emil. I'm not even gonna say come on, Todd, because Todd, he's just like, yeah, do it.
Chris, did you use your name? Because Chris is one of them.
I actually, I think for like my first character and for a lot of characters afterwards, I actually use my middle names. So either Lee or Arnold. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, I got really used to hearing Codsworth say either Mr. Lee or Mr. Arnold.
Those are both very cool.
Right? I like them.
Come on, Mr. Arnold.
Mr. Arnold.
Monster. There's a lot of like funny ones.
Mr. Fuckface. That's one of them.
Nuke, Nova, North.
Mr. Corvo is one of them.
Because of
Yeah, because of Dishonored.
Yeah.
Is Dovahkiin one?
Actually, they literally
There's only
might
two
be.
U names.
What about Dovahkiin?
No.
Whoa. All right, let me get through the last couple of these real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
According to dialogue from Jack Cabot and their past accomplishments in the pre-war, the Soul Survivor's birth date is reasonably anywhere between the 2040s and the 2050s. Which, whatever. I mean, you had a birthday in Fallout 3. But you weren't voiced. He's the only player character to ever have lived in the pre-war era. In Far Harmer, Dima questions if the Soul Survivor is really a synth instead of a human. The response can vary from complete denial to humble acceptance of a possible truth. We're going to talk about that later. The Soul Survivor's title is technically incorrect. Sean also left the vault alive.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's really funny.
I never even thought of that.
I can just picture like a team of writers. Excuse me, Emil. Yeah, Sean left as well. I don't give a fuck. Copy the ending of Fallout 3.
There's another one.
Another one.
During dialogue options with Roger Warwick, the Soul Survivor can reveal that they grew up in the Boston area. That's another thing. If I'm from Boston, how come I don't talk like a fucking shout-ahead? You know what I mean?
Wait, can we get your Boston accent again, please?
Why don't I talk like I'm a wicked smart You know what I'm saying? Like, how come I don't have a dumb fucking accent of these shitty water people?
Why are you just voiced as Peter Griffin?
Like, fucking, there's 3 characters in the game that sound like they're actually from Boston, and I get it. It's 200 years of travel, and civilization died, but, like, the accent would still be there somewhere. The
only characters that actually sound like they're Boston are, like, the ones at, like, the tap house, like, in that area.
Dude, fucking, what are the tribes from Honest Hearts? The Dead Horses and the Sorrows. The White Legs are the bad guys. The Dead Horses and the Sorrows. They even talk to you with, like, some weird, like, tribal, like, Auslander. Like,
they have their own, like, words, and, like, there's actually a culture that they had thought of to like put into the game.
This is just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking, I don't even, Boston, the fucking go.
I live in Boston.
Fuck you, like,
MIT. The fuck.
Fucking really enunciate those vowels.
I tell you, those vowels right through your nose.
Fucking. The last good president we had was Kennedy. Ugh. Why is there no, like, there's like a couple fat dudes with mustaches that sound like they're from Boston. How come there's not more?
Hold up. Are we officially out of the lore?
Hold on.
Because I think we're already into Vince's bitching hour.
That hasn't been the whole thing. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry. Let me just give a quick look-see. So there's something here. When you interact with the dog bowl in the beginning of the game, the Soul Survivor say you're never going to find that dog. And playing the Soul Survivor owned a dog before the Great War. Dialogue. This is when I never fucking... Dialogue between the Soul Survivor and their spouse reveals that Sean was conceived after the two had sex at a park. When Nate suggests going to the park...
I knew that.
You knew this?
Yeah.
When Nate suggests going to the park, Nora responds with, "Oh, right, the park, with you, because I want to get pregnant again." So, just do it on the bench.
Yeah, and if you're the
Do you remember
male...
the bench dance, Chris?
What?
Do you remember the bench dance?
The bench dance?
Yeah.
What? That, like, almost rings a bell.
Middle school time.
Like,
there was a rumor that a girl we went to school with, she was younger than you. She a girl we went to school with had sex with a dude on a bench. This is like middle school, maybe high school rumor. And like we made a dance. I made a dance. Somebody made a dance because we couldn't get over the idea of someone having sex at the park. We're like, you couldn't find like a car to jump in. Like you couldn't just wait till your parents left. And like we made it. You don't remember this?
It had to have been like cold and like splinters. Like, why would you do that?
And they were like 13 at the time. Like it probably didn't happen. It was probably a rumor that got started to make someone look bad. But I remember just being baffled by the idea of like being in a park. Like, why would you be in the park? Like, you're gonna get ants. Like,
you're gonna get mulch in your butt.
Yeah. Like what are you in the fucking merry-go-round? Whatever. The monkey bars, the plastic swirly slide, like the gazebo. I know a guy who got married in that gazebo. All right, I think we're done.
Yeah. All right, now we're here for Vince's bitching hour, where Chris can refute his claims.
Is that what I'm here to do? And I just get to look
back and forth.
What's that, Chris?
Is that what I'm here to do? Is refute your claims?
We're here to talk about
refute your claims. I say refute your flames.
You can.
Sorry.
I think that's lore. So clip it here, me.
Yeah.
Okay. Why the fuck doesn't anybody sound like they're from Boston?
I don't know, dude.
Why don't the ghouls sound like they're from Boston?
What would a ghoul, like a ghoulish groan, how can that sound Bostonian? Can you give me that?
You're going to challenge me and I'm going to take it.
Do it.
Hold on. I don't want to, I'm going to just cop out and go with Kennedy, but like, I told that lady at the store, like, I need Jet. It's all I need. Jet. Maybe a little psycho here and there. Remember we used to drive cars?
Hey, Mr. Ghoul, what kind of pants are you wearing?
I'm wearing khakis. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah. And hey, what's that? What's that in your pocket?
They're my khakis. Yeah. Peter. Yeah. Fuck Boston. Fuck that entire. Fuck all of Massachusetts. Shout out the UK.
Oh, don't bring the rest of Massachusetts.
Nah, fuck all of Massachusetts, dude. Fuck Plymouth Rock. Shout out Planet Rock. Chris, we've had this conversation a billion times. You're a synth, right?
So, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't think there's a simple answer, because I think that with Fallout 4, it's like, even though there's a voiced protagonist, I think that the game does actually offer some, even though it's not much, there is some open-endedness, if you will, for you to like build your character. Mm-hmm. And for me, I know like when I first played the game, I got like the full edition with all the DLC and stuff, and the character, like, I was frustrated too. I had this, voice, it seemed like a lot of my backstory was already made for me. So how can this really be, my classic Fallout RPG? It seems like everything's so, spelled out who I am, what I am, it's almost like, it's hard for me to like, think of me being straying too far off of this path that the game had already laid out for me. And for me, what really brought the whole game together was when I went to Far Harbor and when Dima asked about, do you think you're a synth? And I thought, like, it was kind of like a funny, like, weird question. Of course, playing the game, my first time, I played kind of as myself. I was like, well, of course not. I mean, I'm pre-war. This is what happened to me. And then he says, what's the last thing you remember? And I remember, like, seeing those infamous 4 dialogue options, because you can never have more than 4. It's just 4 freaking dialogue options.
Do you know what they all mean?
Yes, no, sarcastic / other, or question.
Yeah, it's yes, no, go on, yeah, yes, go on, and funny yes.
Funny yes.
So here's the thing.
I usually would do funny yes.
That was my nickname in high school. I gotta write that down.
Funny yes.
Funny yes. Wicked yes.
I gotta take a wicked yes.
So anyways, so when I was playing Far Harbor and that part happened, I kind of almost felt like I literally paused the game because I felt like it had made sense why the game, my character felt trapped. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
the idea of like the main conflict of the game basically being like this like AI basically what there was a sci-fi short story that I read called, I think, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Blade Runner, that type of science fiction. Do toasters have feelings? Like that type of deal. So I thought that it really, for me, made like the game start to make sense when I got this idea of what if you are actually a synth, and that's why, or at least this was for me what helped me to make the game make sense, is maybe that's why my character is voiced. Maybe that's why, the game feels so, so much is set up. It's kind of like, and I feel bad comparing a game like Fallout 4 to such a great masterpiece, but I'm going to compare it to New Vegas for a second. With New Vegas, it's a great beginning. It's so open-ended. You're shot in the head. Do you remember stuff? I don't know. It's up to you. Like, your whole backstory is very much up to you. At the same time, you do have a backstory as the courier. There's dialogue options in Lonesome.
The courier is like so ambiguous.
Right. Yes and no.
It lets you like play.
No, you've never played. You've never played Lonesome Road.
You're right. That's.
Oh, I was gonna say.
I can say, yeah.
Yeah. Because Lonesome. That's where most of it is actually. Is the stuff that talks about your main character.
Me about Lonesome Road.
There's actual dialogue options, I believe, in Lonesome Road, because I've only played through it twice, I think, and you can say things like, "Oh, I've been to." I know, Vince, you've said that, there was the one dialogue option we saw where you can talk about how you've been to Denver. You can talk about how you've had interactions with Caesar's Legion, The
Denver option is quite literally talking to Ulysses, and he's like, Kaiser has everything west of Denver is under his control, including Denver or something. And your dialogue option is like, I've been there. It's nothing but dogs. So it's like, do I have a backstory or not? Like, I get it. I was shot in the head and I don't remember things. But like,
and that's
do I have one or not?
What, a backstory? Well, that's the thing. I think that like you do, but it's so open-ended, and the way that I think New Vegas is structured, you have so much control over like choosing dialogue options to decide what it is that you have a lot of control. And I feel like this is another thing that I feel like it is something that like I kind of have to talk about with like Fallout 4 and with Fallout New Vegas, is like these are both role-playing games, and that's why I love them. And I think that an important part of playing both of them for me is that ability for me to, use my imagination to make the game my own, to make each playthrough unique.
Are you saying for New Vegas or for 4?
I'm saying for both, actually.
Okay, but I want to just say one more thing before we because I feel like we're about to move to a different tangent. If I can make my backstory that I've been to Denver and I've done these other things, and I don't know this to be true or not, don't hide them behind skill checks.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
Like, don't make it where...
I really do.
Like, don't make it where I don't have a high enough explosive so I don't know that Arroyo is part of what was at one point Oregon. Or I don't know that what was once Seattle is now frozen over. Like,
I didn't
because I didn't have enough medicine.
I actually did not know that there were dialogue options that were structured like that. I thought that they were all based off of...
Just
actually, I don't even think I don't even think they were charisma checks. I thought they were literal just dialogue options.
I don't know if they are. And I'm not saying that they are, and I'm not condemning the game because of it. All I'm saying is if there is an option to build your own lore up and to say, like, I've done this, I've done that, this happened here, this happened there, don't put it behind a paywall, essentially, because I don't have a better term for it. Don't put it behind a wall of, if you want to hear this option, see if you can come back to this dialogue and raise your science up by 10 points, and then come back, and then you can say that's part of your backstory. Because I was shot in the head. Maybe I was a doctor before.
Shot in the head.
Like twice. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
But no, I understand what you're saying. I agree with you, Chris. So, as you were saying, I'm sorry.
About what? Where was I?
You were saying about your imagination and being able to build things up and...
Yeah, so so I mean, what your backstory is for New Vegas or for Fallout 4 is, completely up to you. Like, with what happened in Far Harbor, to me, it's like, this opened the possibility of, okay, what if I am a synth? And if I were a synth, to me, that's like the big question that has helped me get so much playability out of the game is, if your character is a synth, who made you? Why? What's your purpose? And, to me, I've tried to like look up things about the game, and unless y'all know something that I do not, there's not much known about like, if you are a synth or not. It's all just like speculation. But to me, there were just so many things in the game that made sense to me that, I've been able to play the game. Like, I played the game one time through, saying that, pretending that I'm like, maybe I was a synth made, to further the Institute. So I go with an Institute quest line or,
I wish that they had talked more about the possibility of you being a synth without the DLC. Like, I really wish that that would have been more of a part of the Institute storyline.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm making a big old meme.
No, go ahead.
It's because of a voice protagonist. And
okay, continue.
No, seriously, because it's restrictive. You're given 4 options. 3 of them are yes. I've been playing New Vegas on stream. You have a conversation with somebody, like even if it's a minor conversation with somebody, like someone that maybe isn't a voiced NPC or I'm sorry, a named NPC, but maybe they are a named NPC. You have like a minimum of 3 options of dialogue. And those 3 options of dialogue are yes, no, tell me more information before I make my decision because you're not super essential to the story. You go talk to Kaisar. There are 9 options you can take.
I know.
Yeah.
Me talking
so
to
much out of the characters. Like the writing in New Vegas is just beautiful.
And I've said this a billion times.
You get so much juice out of these characters.
Absolutely. I love everything about New Vegas except for playing it because the base game of New Vegas to me is so boring. Like the quest lines the baseline quest lines are okay. The DLC I think are so much better, but just the slog of walking through the fucking desert just kills me.
And walking through the desert and Johnny Guitar.
It's so boring.
I don't even care about that.
It's so boring until a Cazador shows up.
Yeah, exactly. But like that's what I liked about 3, and I want to talk more about 4. But that's what I like about 3 is that like the idea of a destroyed city is so much more interesting visually than a desert because you can drive to the Mojave now and you can look at the Mojave in New Vegas, and the only difference is the scorpions are bigger
and the ants.
Yeah, but like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I could go to DC. I've been to DC, and I remember looking at these buildings, going, "Holy shit, I've been here." But I've seen them destroyed.
Right, yeah.
But, hold on, sorry. Going back to 4, how you said about the DLC kind of pulling this idea out, I want to make a segment that I'm going to clip that we can put up as another video. I'm going to call it something like our Fallout 4 Headcanon. Everybody, I want you to just kind of give me what your headcanon of what is happening in the game, because there is a lot that is left up to interpretation. I think there's a lot that is said and implied with the Brotherhood, with the Institute, with the Railroad, and then what you really think is going on, what's really happening. I personally do not think you were ever a real existing human. And that's why they gave you a voice. And it was one of those things that they tried to show and they just didn't. They just couldn't do it. I think that, much like how Nick, they took, and that's why I think they make you hang out with Nick, and you have to learn about how Nick has these memories of this cop from pre-war. And his whole quest line of like, I gotta find my girlfriend, see? Or whatever the fuck. And I think you were the memories of a soldier that they found or something. They inherited this body and they kind of built up this thing because there's no possible way that the blast that nuke gives from that far away, you would have survived. He would have
so
been
are you saying that the entirety of the opening of Fallout 4 is all in your robot mind palace?
Yeah, it's not real. It's not real.
Okay.
And there was a video I watched that during the cryogenic scene is the same filter they put on during the part where you go into Kellogg's brain. Now, that could have just been to, like, the neurons.
That could have been frugal animations,
It probably is, absolutely. But it doesn't not help my case.
Of course.
So, it's probably just to save money, save time, obviously. But think about it like that. Here's this person who you leave the vault, and let's just say you're a Gen 4 synth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gen 3 was the only way you could tell if they were a synth is you had to kill them and take a piece out of their brain. That's the only way you could tell they were a Gen 3 synth. You're a Gen 4 synth. You're so human that there's no way to tell if you die, and even if you do die, who knows? You're the first. And Father knows that he's sick, and he said, all right, release him. Because why if they know about 111 and they know that it's cryogenic, like, everybody else in there is dead. Like, were they test subjects? Were they the first people that they tried to work on? Is that where they got DNA from? Like, I know they got it from Father, but, like, a lot of it just seems too convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's supposed to put these bits of self-doubt into it. I think you're a synth. I think the whole time you're the first synth with real free will. Because I think even Gen 3s can be turned off and on with a code.
Mm-hmm.
And
like
Gen
the Coursers.
And Gen 4s can't. So I think that was the goal, was Father was just kind of like, cool, I'll make the best synth ever made. And then when I die, I'll tell that synth he has to take over. But I'll let him decide if he wants to do it. And he will, because I'm Father and I'm arrogant. And then you blow up the Institute. Like, I don't know. I don't think that the story that you're given is real. I think that, and I said this to Chris recently, I want to go back to the beginning of Fallout 4 and see where the skeletons are.
Yeah.
But
I think I've got a decent headcanon.
Okay.
So mine, it's kind of similar, but my headcanon is that you, the player, are actually a clone of Father because he's trying to extend his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he built you from his own DNA and gave you the story that you're the dad of Sean, where in actuality it's just his own personality duplicated into another body.
So almost, is it a third generation synth though, or is it like this fourth generation synth idea, like Vince said?
I'd say, I haven't really thought about that yet.
Either one is interesting.
It's definitely an artificial person, but that the actual consciousness is just like a memory modified version of Father, the leader of the Institute, because he knows he has cancer. So he probably like just did a copy of his brain and he just put it in another skin suit and introduces this skin suit of a main character to the Institute saying, hi, yes, I'm dying, come take over, where he's literally just giving himself the keys. Because who else could he trust but himself?
Yeah.
That's my headcanon. It's a little bit simple, but that's what I think.
God, how much time
Chris,
do we have?
Do you have a big one?
I mean, okay.
We have as much time as you want, Chris.
Okay.
We'll have some editing
All right,
to do.
guys. All right. I'm gonna just go.
Hit us.
All right.
Hit us with it.
All right. So here's what I think happened. So, Institute needed like DNA, right, or whatever. So they took the baby from the 11 thing. So they took the baby. They used the DNA. They make synths. Whoop-de-doo. So Father is, at first he's kind of just this specimen to make the synths, but obviously he becomes father. He becomes leader of the Institute. He must be smart. He must contribute in some way. So my idea is that as he, was becoming smarter and being seen as like somebody who could become like director or whatever, he's coming up with all these crazy ideas of like, redefining mankind. That's the Institute's whole spiel, is they're trying to redefine mankind so that it can continue forth. And their big thing is...
Which is a noble goal, if you think about it.
Yeah, and their big thing is it has to be done through the synths. Now, from what I can tell playing the game, third generation synths are basically just slaves. They're used for labor. Like, they're used for labor while the actual real human beings continue to live in luxury and reproduce. That's how mankind, quote unquote, is redefined? ? So, Father, growing up as a scientist in the Institute or whatever, gets this idea. He's like, he talks to like the other higher ups. He's like, well, what if we what if we actually, take this technology and we find a way to literally basically go to cloning to make sure that in case something happens above ground, we are better prepared and like we don't have to so our genes can go on. We can literally make sure mankind continues on even if we don't exist, we can't survive up there or whatever. So basically propose.
Yeah, and that can kind of make a lot of sense, especially because if you're designing a whole new vessel for humanity, you can make it radiation resistant.
Exactly. You're basically, what it is gene modifying. So it also, this is the other cool thing I like about this idea.
Gene modification and designer babies are a real thing.
Right. And
that's the thing that is
it's
just on the cusp
controversial
of our actual science. Yeah.
And it's controversial, which I love about it too, is that the game to me has so many controversial topics, which makes the game interesting. So you have this conflict of so a few scientists, very just the top scientists get together and are like, okay, let's just talk about we're scientists because that's what scientists do. It goes too far. So they are they design this fourth generation synth, and the first version that they come up with is they want to use DNA that is not Sean's. So they actually use the DNA from Sean's father, who is still frozen. Sean's father, I believe, is a real person who existed. So you think
he's a real person?
Yes, that was a real person that existed. Now, exactly what happened, I don't know. We're talking about my headcanon. My personal headcanon is they got him out of his pod. The real, let's say your player character, for all intents and purposes, for what I'm talking about, his name is Nate. Nate is taken out of the pod. The real Nate is taken out of the pod, brought to the Institute against his will. They sample his DNA, and they want to keep him alive, but unfortunately something goes wrong and he has to be killed, basically. And they
he dies under the knife or something.
Yeah, he tried to fight and escape, and they had to put him down. So they take the DNA from him, and they basically create the first fourth generation synth. And the only difference a fourth generation synth has from a third generation synth that I would think of is the main one being they don't have a courser, a chip in their brain. If they have anything in their brain that's artificial to regulate their systems or whatever, it dematerializes over time from the tissue or whatever, because it's all organic. So there's that main thing.
Or it could be nanobots.
Right. It would. Some sciencey bullshit. It works.
Yeah, some undetectable shit.
And then the second big one being that these fourth generation synths would age at a normal rate, and they could even be created as babies so that they would grow up at a normal rate, because my logic was when you see the third generation synth being made, they come out as almost like adults. And I think that's because these synths are made to be slaves. They're not meant to be people that you look at and love and make friends with. They're there for labor. So they come out as full-grown adults, and they want them to be strong.
That's what
they want them to be strong, and they don't necessarily want them to get old quickly and die. They want them to stay young for a long time. So that's the second big change, is that they age normally. And the third one, this is the big one that I think would bring up a big controversy, is that a fourth generation synth is designed to be able to reproduce with their DNA, which is completely untainted by radiation. It's been genetically modified in a lab to be resistant to radiation, to be a perfect human being, so to speak. And that's you. That is your character. Then when that experiment is made, which is Nate 2.0, the first 4th generation synth. They make you, and then Sean hides you by re-putting you in your cryo chamber, freezing you. You have the vague memories of a dead person that did once exist, but that is not you. The only reason you have the few memories you have, the reason that your only memories in the memory den are before the bombs fall, the only reason that when you tell Dima what you remember is only what happened when the bombs fell or none your business, is because those are the only faint real memories you have, are memories of a dead person that existed once before. And that's also when Vince mentioned Nick Valentine. That is why I also think your character and Nick are like, you guys are best buddies, because technically I think you two are like the same thing in a way. If like my random headcanon, if it were the case, you and Nick are like the same thing, because Nick had had a person, a real person that existed, that is his whole personality, his whole being, but that's not him. And that's the point of your character. You were designed to be like the perfect person, and your father's like baby, main creation. Even though you're his father, you're also his main baby. You know what I mean? And
you're his father, but all right. Okay, yeah. That's really that's crazy.
And like his hope was when he froze you, and that like if one day he unfroze you, that you would make the choice. And this was part of like almost like his, I think like a moral dilemma he had in his mind, that he wanted to use you. Because he said it even at the top of CIT after Bunker Hill, he talks about how you were an experiment of sorts. And I think that it goes even further than that, in that he wonders if you, a free will synth, will do the right thing in his mind. What is the right thing? Because in his mind, the right thing is for you to take,
the right thing?
In his mind, to take over the Institute and redo his reign. But that's the thing, as a player, what do you think is right? You know, do you
really have a choice?
Do you think that you are an abomination, that you being a synth is an abomination, and that you shouldn't have even been created in the first place, in which case you go Brotherhood? Do you think that the Institute is wrong, and you think that all synths need to be freed, and you go with the Railroad? Do you think that, you know...
So, basically your choice on how you end Fallout 4 is Father's experiment?
Yes. It's all
That's really cool.
It's all about Father's experiment of like, you're the first synthetically, but that's the thing. You're trapped by the fact your old identity. That to me at least also helps me sit okay with having limited dialogue options, having limited things to say, and having a voice that's like you feel trapped. And I think that like to me like fits with the character. You're trapped by an identity that's not your own, because you are not human. And it kind of like helps you to sympathize, I think, with the other synths in the game. You know what I mean? If you love Blade Runner, like I love Blade Runner.
It's very Blade Runner-y.
I love Blade Runner, so like obviously I love Fallout 4. Like just its concepts, its conflicts, it's awesome. So I know I probably went a little over my time, but you know, so that's my headcanon.
Absolutely fine idea, and I think that's really an interesting take. I really like it.
Yeah, it's like so like. I've just based it off of like what little knowledge I've also gotten. Like I could go on and on about like little things, like I mentioned about the experiment.
And they really could have leaned on that with Dima. They really could have talked more about that. Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing too, is like part of how I've gotten so much play in the game, like hours out of the game, is there are definitely parts through the game that I've had to like, you know, I kind of not like mute my TV, but I kind of like tune out what's going on to kind of like add in my own lore. You know what I mean?
I love to do that. Yeah. That's what I do when I play No Man's Sky. I'm just thinking about like, all right, who am I? I'm this lonely space explorer trying to survive in this star system. Right. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I think that like...
Hey, Chris.
Pardon?
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I just think that like that's like I've done that since I was young, like about every video game. And I think that that's like, you know, there's a funny balance between like RPGs of having, you know, this open-ended. You can make up you can make up what's going on. But I think when it's left, when you have too much control and too many options, then it's kind of like you get lost. But then if you're kept in too narrow of a, yeah,
it's really towing the line of giving like too much and having a more watered down kind of like if you have too many options, it's hard to maintain focus. And if you don't have enough options, you feel like you're being railroaded. So it's towing the line, finding that middle ground.
Railroaded. Yeah, I like the reference. A wise man once told me, he'd say, freedom is having no choice. What does that mean? Hell if I know.
Do you know who else is a wise man, Chris?
Who's a wise man, Olive?
I'm going to say that it's Shane Ivers. If you've never heard of him, well, where have you been? Shane Ivers is the maker of our intro music. It's Feather Duster. If you want to get that, you can get it at www.silvermansounds.com/freemusic/featherduster. Hey, Chris, do you have any social media you want to plug or anything? Because we've got some of those.
You know what?
You can say no if you don't want to.
You know what, actually? I have a Twitter. I do have a Twitter, and if you want to give it a follow, you are perfectly allowed to. It is America. You can do that. It is Chris Boyd. That is a YEA Chris Boyd. Give your Boyd a follow.
I'll link that in the description.
Give your Boyd a follow. If you would like to.
If you want to follow us, you can find us at Atomic Radio Hour. You can find us all over the internet. You can get us on Twitter. But I think the best place to get a hold of us is on Discord. Join our Discord for a bunch of fun. We have game nights. We have movie nights. We just talk about Fallout. We talk about art. Chris, you're in the Discord. You know all about it.
Oh, yeah. I know all about that, yeah.
Yeah, of course you do. But if you want to show your support for us above and beyond, you can support our Redbubble. We've got shirts and hats and coffee mugs and clocks and duvets. Anything you want. We're probably going to have some new designs up soon whenever I can fully remove my head from out of my ass to make them. But if you want to go even more above and beyond, you can support our Patreon. We've got some people to thank because Patreon is how we keep this show afloat. We recently just paid in our year of our podcasting service, and that was made possible entirely by you guys. So I have to give a big warm thank you to Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
Oh, thanks, Chris. We also have Gage, but twice.
Thank you, Gage, twice.
Thanks twice, one for the Discord and one for our Patreon. It's because of you that we can do streaming and other cool stuff. So thanks for supporting us.
Thank you.
Next up is Jordan with a Y.
Thank you, Jordan with a Y.
And we also have Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
And Marcus.
Yo, thank you, Marcus.
Thanks so much, guys. It's because of you that we can make this show happen. Did I miss anything? Other stuff going on our channel. We've got a new episode of Atomic Tabletop coming soon. It's when I do it. And we have a new episode of Lizard Brains that just went out. That's Vince's new project where he talks about Godzilla. And him and his partner Marcus are just going through all the movies. His co-host, I shouldn't say partner. Have you gave a listen to Lizard Brains, Chris?
I have not yet. I have to.
Are you a Godzilla fan?
I am a fan of big lizards in backyards. So yes, you could say that.
Well, I don't think we have anything else to go over. I'll leave a little spot right here for Vince to put in something that he might have to say.
Hey guys, sorry to give up. I needed to buy cigarettes. I got a call from Bentley. Dude lost talking all kinds of wild shit. Says he has physical proof that Kyle is the one and only cookie thief. Anyway, thanks for watching and supporting us. My Rafflecopter goes swass.
But until next time, bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
All right.
Atomic Radio Hour Podcast. A Ghoulman Entertainment production.